everybody, it's your friendly digital technology librarian, Christy here. We've reached another Friday, so of course I have another Film Rec Friday ready for everybody out there. Now, National Dinosaur Day was earlier this month, and I thought what better way to join in and celebrate than with a handful of dino-centric recommendations that will appeal to the inner archaeologist that I think resides in all of us still. Just because dinosaurs are one of those things that I think are kind of universally interesting to people. As always, these movies are available entirely for free with the use of your Milan-Berlin library card, and they'll be available on DVD or Blu-ray via our CleanNet service or streaming on our Canopy service. So without any further ado, let's jump into the recs. Okay, jumping off with our first recommendation, which is available on DVD and Blu-ray via our CleanNet service. That is 1993's Jurassic Park. This is the creme de la creme of dinosaur movies. I don't care that it's vintage now. I can't believe 1993 is vintage. So scary. Anyway, this is one of those movies that, is kind of like the gateway dinosaur movie just because it is so marvelously well put together, from the direction to the acting to the music to everything. This is just so fantastic. Just basic overview. We follow primarily two scientists, Dr. Alan Grant and Dr. Ellie Sattler. They both have their specialties. They are brought to this park where this eccentric, billionaire has managed to collect scientists who have found a way to bring dinosaurs back to life, and we have Jurassic Park. So this is prior to opening. He's trying to figure out how he can get backing for his creation, and he is genuinely excited about this discovery and the science that goes behind it, but then the question comes in about ethics of it all, and it's just this absolutely phenomenal adventure story. And I have probably watched it once every couple of years for the last 30 years. And I probably will continue to do so because there's just something so marvelously magic about this movie. So I still remember being in the movie theater with my parents and watching this in 1993, and how the audience was so completely grabbed by it as well. And there's just something about hearing the swells of the music, which is super iconic now. But, at the time we'd not heard it before. And it's very clearly John Williams, because John Williams has a very distinct musical signature. And just getting pulled into this absolutely incredible adventure story and seeing magic play out on screen. And it's just incredible. This is, of course, based on Michael Crichton's novel of the same name, but whether you've read the book, whether you haven't read the book, whether you have any intentions of reading the book, it doesn't matter. This is one of the handful of times I will say this. The movie for me is definitely on par with the book in different ways. So book is incredible. Don't get me wrong. I love the book. I own the book. I've read it many times. But the movie itself it transports you. It's so well cast too. Sam Neill plays Alan Grant. Laura Dern plays Ellie Sattler. Jeff Goldblum plays a mathematician named Ian Malcolm, who is, he's not even one of the two main characters, but he's got so many iconic lines that my friends and I can still quote to each other from that many years back. And not every one of us watches it all the time, just me maybe, I don't know. But it's just a magical film, and watching kids watch it is so much fun, just because, as I said, this is a 30-year-old movie, but the special effects really do stand up, and I'm fascinated by the fact that works. And yes, it was both the early days of CGI, but there's a lot that's mechanical. This is a Steven Spielberg movie, so he's very, very used to all of the intricacies that he has had to deal with animatronic um, creatures in his films. I mean, he would talk for days about the nightmare of working with the animatronics in Jaws, but he makes it work in this, and it's the perfect effect. They've definitely hit their stride at this point in the 90s. And while, of course, the CGI in, say, the most recent batch of Jurassic Park films is leaps and bounds ahead of what we would have had in 93, it doesn't really matter because it really is, it's so effectively used within this movie that I don't think when you're watching it, there's any point where you're just pulled out of the movie. Because there are plenty of movies from the 90s where I was like, that's terrible CGI. And that is 100% not something that I feel when I'm watching this. So as I mentioned, just the whole film is just really well done with exceptionally good direction, ridiculously solid acting. I mean, when you have people like Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, Richard Attenborough, I mean, these are people who are well regarded for a reason in the acting realm. Music, John Williams. I mean, has John Williams ever gone wrong? But more than that, the theme and the score for this, if you hear it, you know immediately what it's from. Like there's just this motive that constantly flows through. And, even now when I hear it, I'm like, oh, Jurassic Park. And I look around for dinosaurs. I was actually having a conversation with a coworker, and she also said she had that same reaction every time she would hear that theme music. She was like expecting dinosaurs. But yeah, and I understand that part of the absolute love that I have for this movie is partially nostalgia. It was such a huge film when I was a kid. But really, I did just watch it again for like the 20th time to sort of refresh myself and sort of like try and be a little bit more nitpicky, but it honestly stands up with any of the dinosaur movies that I've watched in recent years. It really does. And I do think it's a combination of all those different elements, the production, the acting, the music, everything. So if you are looking for just an excellent film about dinosaurs, if you are looking at a way to harken back to days from your own childhood, if you're a child of the 80s and the 90s like I am, if you're looking for a really cool way to introduce your kids to dinosaurs, and if they're good with a good amount of action, because it is harrowing in spots, so I'm not going to say that it's not, but I definitely remember I would have been 11 when I watched this and being absolutely engrossed with it and not like never scarred. There was never anything that was so bad that it wouldn't, be easily discussed away. If you are just in the mood for an excellent action adventure movie, make sure that you check out Jurassic Park. Now may be the perfect time to dive back in, especially if you have kids who are interested in watching the newest movies. I will not say that I loved the new films, but I love any time you can bring more kids into the idea and the whole genre of those dinosaur adventures, and then maybe pull them into the earlier films as well. So again, it's an absolute must watch. 1993's Jurassic Park. Make sure you check it out. You absolutely need to. Okay, I cannot possibly mention Jurassic Park or any of the Jurassic Park franchise films without taking the time to mention another film, which is my second recommendation. It is available on Canopy streaming, and that is 1925's The Lost World. I didn't see this until college, and I was honestly so thoroughly blown away when I finally did. 1925's The Lost World is based on Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's novel, and it is sort of the film that spawned all the dinosaur films, and it is so fantastic. So in this movie, we are following a journalist as he follows a professor who has made this announcement that prehistoric creatures are alive and flourishing within the Amazonian jungle. They get this group of adventurers, explorers, scientists together, and they trek off into the wilds. And that's, again, like a really simplified a really, really simplified description of what's going on. But I don't want to give too much away, especially if you've never read the book, which I strongly advise you to do. Conan Doyle's phenomenal, regardless of what you're talking about, whether you're talking about The Lost World, the Sherlock Holmes novels, whatever. But just the story itself is so fun and so magical and so exciting. I still remember reading it when I was a kid and thinking, this is what reading is. I liked a lot of adventure books. What can I say? But what's really cool about this film, again, it was made in 1925, are these incredible little animated, not it's like stop motion sequences where we get to see these dinosaur battles. And this is made in 1925. It's a silent film. And for it to do these things so well, so well. I mean, I can't imagine having been alive at that time, going to the theater and seeing this pop up. Like, it would have legit felt like magic to me. And it still does. I enjoy watching this movie so much. I had not seen it since college, so it's been nearly 20 years, and I'd forgotten about it a little bit, to be honest. And I'm so excited that I dropped back in, because now I can recommend it to so many people, because it is just so well done. Yes, it is a silent feature, so you are reading the little title cards periodically, but the action and the forward motion of this movie is it's just awesome. It really, really is. Again, especially those animated sequences. This is one of those films that I think everyone who's ever watched a dinosaur movie and been enchanted by it needs to check out, because again, this was the forefather. This is what started it all. And it's done so well in the 1920s that it's just impossible not to want to recommend it to other people. So this one's perfect if, again, you're just a dinosaur movie fan, if you just like dinosaurs, but also if you like really phenomenally well done film. This is like a slice of film history. So if you're interested in film in general, film history, how things are made, I have loads of friends who are specifically interested in stop motion animation. You definitely need to watch this, because it's done so well and so impressively. If you just like a good adventure story too, this is something that checks a lot of boxes, and there's a really interesting nostalgia feel to this too. I mean, everything is sort of like that sepia tone, and you've got the big emotions and the huge expressive faces, and it's a really cool film to watch. So again, if you are at all interested in film or dinosaurs themselves, make sure you check out 1925's The Lost World. It's available to stream on our Canopy service, and it's definitely a must watch. Okay, my final recommendation for today is a documentary available to stream on our Canopy service, and that is 2019's Nature, Attenborough, and the Sea Dragon. This is such a phenomenally fun documentary. I had not gotten to see it when it originally aired on PBS, but I'm so glad that I finally did get the chance to view it, because this is one of those documentaries that sort of views more as an almost adventure / quest story, because we are following sort of the discovery of a full ichthyosaur skeleton, and how the bits and pieces are uncovered through this quest to pull them out of some shale in England. And it all starts with this rather well-known scientist, fossil hunter, when he just finds the front fins, and they are of a size that he knows this is a big find, and so it's this race to uncover the rest. And it's just so interesting, and it's so exciting to watch, because we get to be part of a dinosaur dig, and how often does that happen? And it's just very, very, very engaging, especially if you have any interest in this sort of work, or if you just, again, just adventure in general is a good one. The other thing that is maybe even more appealing than the hunt itself is David Attenborough's uh, narration and participation in this. He's one of those people who, his genuine enthusiasm for nature, whether we're talking about prehistoric nature or the contemporary wilds of today, that sort of genuine enthusiasm comes across so well. He's clearly giddy in moments, and you are sucked into those moments because so enthusiastic. And I've always loved that about the films that he narrates and that he participates in, because he's not just doing the voiceover for this. He's actually part of the process, and he even gets to pull some bits of shale away from the fossilized bones of this ichthyosaur. So as he's describing things, we get to hear more and more about, what the final moments of this fish lizard, which is sort of a much more direct translation of the name that he uses, was doing in those seconds before death. What caused death, and that was a really interesting sort of forensic look at these bones, and then what could have caused, what creature was it that caused this very, very large fish lizard's demise. And it's cool to like be a part of that sort of mystery, to be able to participate in any way, uncovering this piece of time that obviously none of us were around for. And it's cool to hear how all of these scientists are just as excited to introduce us to these moments as we are to participate in them. So yeah, if you are a fan at all of documentaries in general, or you specifically do have any kind of interest in dinosaurs, I strongly recommend this little one. It runs very, very short. It's only about 50 something minutes, and it watches like a dream. Again, half the time you don't even feel like you're in a documentary, just because you're so very engaged with everybody and everything that's going on screen. So again, Nature's Attenborough and the Sea Dragon from 2019, available on our Canopy streaming service. It is an absolute must watch, and you won't regret it. Okay, so those were my recommendations for Dinosaur Day. If you have any recommendations for dinosaur-centric films that you'd like to share with us, please make sure you comment with those below. If you have any recommendations for themes you'd like to see me cover in the future, definitely share those below. As always, I absolutely love putting these films together for you. I love diving into our catalog and seeing what's out there, and as a lifelong dinosaur fan, this week was just an absolute joy. So again, as always, thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully I will see you next week. Bye bye.